Hello, and welcome to Weekend Wisdom. I'm Tracy Whitney. I'm the content manager for creatingafamily.org. I've been with this organization for 9 years now, writing articles and creating content for our online education and our interactive support group curriculum. I've also led a variety of online support groups, including one that I'm leading now for supporting relative caregivers. I moderate the online Facebook community, and I'd love it if you would join us there at facebook.com/groups/creatingafamily. I'm also the mom to 6 great kids, ages 30 down to 13, and our adoption journey is what led me to creating a family. I was an avid user of their resources long before I started working with the organization. So I'm excited to join the Weekend Wisdom team and have the opportunity to answer your questions. After all, that's what Weekend Wisdom is all about. You send us your questions about adoption, foster care, or kinship care, and we dig through our resources to find an answer that will strengthen your family. Today we're tackling a combination of several questions that we hear frequently in our community, and we've combined them all into one question. The question is, how do I respond in the moment when my child is melting down, including instances of physical or verbal aggression? And we can all resonate with this one. We've all been there with a young child pitching a fit, as my grandmother used to call it, in the grocery store, or with your teenager raging, slamming doors, rolling eyes, kicking walls, all the things that make for very stressful moments for both the parents, caregivers, and for the children. It's a stressful moment for everyone, and we're all on high alert in those times. So how do we intervene in those moments of raw, heated anger or pain or frustration? Well, the first thing is to prioritize everyone's safety. You need to make sure that everyone, including yourself, is safe physically. And if that means that you need to clear the room of other siblings or other people, or even of objects that you fear could become a weapon, do it. Do it quickly, do it quietly and calmly and very matter-of-factly, but ensure safety for everyone is the first priority. The second thing to do is narrate your actions. Again, in a very calm, matter-of-fact tone, say what you're doing. Okay, I can tell that you are feeling very out of control right now. I want to keep you and your brother safe, so I'm going to send him to his room, and I'm going to move the plates off the table so we can talk safely. The third thing is to reassure the other children. If there are other children in the vicinity, you need to let them know that they are safe and that you will keep them safe. Let them know that you'll come back to them as soon as you settle this child, and that you'll work on helping them calm down and re-regulate also. The fourth thing to consider is to be present with this dysregulated child or teenager. This child needs to know that you're going to stick with them through this moment of high intensity, that you're going to be present, that you hear them, that you see them. They need that empathy of your constant presence. So you could say something to them like, I'm sorry that you feel so angry right now. I don't know what you want to do about it, but I'd like to sit with you and we can breathe together for a few minutes while we figure it out. If you ask them too many questions or talk to them too much in these moments of dysregulation, it's just not going to help anybody calm down anytime soon. Their brains are just too hot to handle more input. And so sitting and breathing quietly, just putting your hand on their back if they'll let you, those kinds of things will communicate that you are with them and that you choose to be present with them, even when they're dysregulated. Hopefully, you've had some previous experiences of success when helping your child or your teenager re-regulate. And so when you sense that everything is starting to kind of calm down and that heat of the moment is no longer quite so intense, you can try one of those familiar strategies. For some kids, it's deep breathing. Other kids, it's chewing on ice. Some kids, our kids, like to walk the dog and kind of get it all out of their system. Some kids really like a firm hug that just makes them feel kind of bound in. I know families that do jumping jacks, or they stretch out on the grass and look up at the sky and just name some clouds or shapes of clouds that they see. Those are some things that you can try. If you've already had success with those things, they're good to kind of circle back to the familiar. That familiar method will, again, bring another level of calm to the situation. But there are a couple other really effective strategies that you can try if you're looking for new ones. The first is the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. This is a regrounding method that helps your child just be present in the moment with the senses that they are feeling right now. And it helps them just kind of slow their roll, so to speak. So you would do 5 things you can see, 4 things you can feel, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. The order in which you do these 5 senses isn't as important as the fact that you're doing them slowly and methodically and carefully, one by one, to help your child come down to just one moment in time where they can breathe slowly and think more clearly. So you would start by saying, tell me 5 things you can see in your environment around you. And they might say, I see clouds. I see trees moving in the breeze. I see grass. I see you sitting next to me, and I see the neighbor walking their dog. And then you just go through the 5 senses, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it really slows their system down. It just helps them reorient to what's going on right here and right now. Another de-escalation strategy is called PACE. It was developed by Dr. Dan Hughes to reinforce already existing trust between you and your young person. He's been a guest on our long-form podcast in the past, and he's written many books about kids impacted by trauma, and we just love hearing from him. You can learn more about this particular strategy in the creatingafamily.org article called How to Maintain Connection When Your Child Struggles with Anger. But the basics are here in this podcast, and I'll run over them because they're pretty easy to catch. The first one is P, standing for playful. This is a tool to catch your kid's dysregulation low, so maybe not in the heat of the moment, but before it escalates into a rage or a meltdown. You can step in with a silly question or a lighthearted redirect that wards off or shortens the experience of any dysregulation you might see coming down the pike. For example, if your child is ramping up in anger about brushing their teeth before bed, you can step in and ask them, oh, is all that toothpaste foam coming out of your mouth, is that actually lava? Or you can start singing a silly random made-up song about teeth. When our little one was getting agitated about combing out the tangles in her hair, I would start singing the hairbrush song. If you know, you know. A stands for acceptance. Labeling and accepting what your child is feeling helps them feel seen. It also gives them the message that all of our emotions are normal, even hard ones. Acceptance for your child in this moment can look as simple as, I know, buddy, you feel really angry. I get it. And then you can move on to curious. Once you start to see their systems coming down a little bit, you can use some wonder language that gives your child permission to be curious about what's going on inside of them. Little ones up through teens might need help labeling what's going on, but if they don't even feel safe to wonder about what's going on, they may not try out that labeling for themselves. So you can start by saying something like, I wonder what's going on inside of you right now. Or, what do you think that was all about? And if you can ask that question and start that journey of curiosity without judgment, you can open their doors to self-exploration of the emotions and feelings going on inside of them. I've found that this tool works really well with my kids when we're sitting side by side rather than facing each other. I think sometimes when we're facing each other, that curiosity can be interpreted as judgment more easily because they're trying to read our faces. If we're just sitting side by side, it goes much more nicely. E means to offer empathy. So we've had P for playful, A for acceptance, C for curious, and now we're on E for empathy. When you can offer your child empathy for what they're feeling, it tells them that you're with them. So if you can say something like, I know it's frightening to feel so much anger inside. I'm with you and I'm going to work it out with you. It helps them not feel so out of control because they feel like there's a safe adult that can handle what's going on inside of them. And it just makes them, again, feel seen and accepted, and you're building on that trust that already exists between you, especially if you've already had several instances of successful re-regulation with them. No matter what intervention you choose, You should always be working on how to adjust your language to suit your child's age and understanding. And remember, when they are very dysregulated, they will need simpler and fewer words until they've calmed down. When they're dysregulated, they often will drop down an age or stage of understanding, kind of like a bit of regression. And so it's important to just match them where they're at in that moment. And then later, when they've co-regulated with you, you can kind of bring them back up to where their norm is. Before we go, I want to include a reminder about self-care in this conversation. Whenever we're working through strategies to help our kids come down from really big emotions, we've exerted a lot of hard work and emotional energy ourselves. We've had to employ self-control, we've had to employ self-regulation, and feeling our children's emotions with them offers them a safe space to validate those feelings that they're having, but it also takes a toll on us. On top of all the other demands that we juggle all day long, take a few moments to get back to your family's norms and then acknowledge your own emotions and needs in that moment once everyone's kind of doing their own thing. If you were overwhelmed and scared, but you successfully led your child back to calm, give yourself kudos. If you lost your cool and had to retrace some steps to get everybody back on track, give yourself forgiveness and grace. No matter how you navigated this child's meltdown, be kind and gentle with yourself when it's over. Take a well-deserved break for some self-care. That could be a bubble bath after everybody goes to bed, yoga in your room, reading a book in bed with some chocolate and some soothing music, whatever it takes to recharge yourself so that you are ready to meet the demands of tomorrow. Thank you so much for listening to Weekend Wisdom. We're so glad you joined us. If you found today's information helpful, please consider giving us a rating or a review. When you do that, it helps us get more of this great information into the hands of other families who could use the resources to strengthen their family. Have a great day.